Croatia and welcome. The Cardiff Referee Society's Zoom meeting and presentation on the major law changes. The meeting will be conducted by Ray Elnam, and if you don't know Ray, just a quick bio. Ray is a member of the IFAB subcommittee. He's also a UEFA elite referee coach and referee observer, and former Welsh Prem referee and referees manager, and also society president.
What I thought I would do is just go through the major law changes for season 2021. There's a lot. There are other changes to law, but these are the ones that will probably affect your day-to-day refereeing. So what I don't want to do is to go into massive detail with the other laws. For instance, there's been a change around the shape of the goalposts. For instance, now we all know what it's like refereeing at the lower levels, albeit on parks football. So, what I would urge everybody to do who referee on the parks on a Saturday or Sunday, or those who are involved in university games on a Wednesday, is that the main priority is to get the game played. So if the goalposts are not of the right shape, if one of the corner flags is missing or the corner flag is below 4 foot, just not use the corner flag. Wherever possible, play the game and report it to the authorities, the relevant league after. Obviously, the higher we go up the pyramid, then obviously it's more important. But I will just cover, the last slide will be to tell you about the other law changes. But this will just concentrate on the major law changes. As always, the main sort of bone of contention that IFAB have set every year revolve around offside and also the handball situation. You'll be no surprise that there are some small changes this year in regards to both of them. One of the things that have been included, and I think we would do this anyway in a game, where for the example, I haven't got a video of this, unfortunately, because I can't find one. But if a player if a defender deliberately handles the ball, however, it then goes to a opposing player who is in an offside position, you can say that play can continue. Okay, whereas, and I think we would have done this anyway, but if there's been a minor tweak to law and actually put in words now where we say a player in an offside position receiving the ball from an opponent who deliberately plays the ball, including deliberate handball, is not considered to gain an advantage. Okay, so if and how many times this is going to happen in a game? Very unlikely, but it's there just in case you need it. Okay. As I said, handball. IFAB, as long as I've been involved in IFAB, which is nearly 10 years now, and bearing in mind some of the people on the call, I don't know who else is on the call, but I've been involved in refereeing, albeit as an active and coach and manager, etc., for nearly 40 years now. And handball, everybody says, what is handball? What is the definition of handball? And there are tweaks nearly every year until we can get it right. Who knows what the actual definition is? It's nigh on impossible to do. So as a result, we've done a little picture of a action man or tin man, what you want to call. So where we've got at the moment now, where you'll see where the red part of the player's arm is what we're saying, the device is where we give handball, where it is the shoulder, or as we in the definition, where it's in line with the bottom of the armpit. So it's quite defined, is that's not handball. So basically we're saying it's that, whereas before if the ball hits you on top of the shoulder or the very top part of the arm, we're saying is that there's play on. Okay. So we just need to be mindful of that. So hopefully this will make it slightly clearer when there is handball. But this is purposely one of the reasons why it was decided that it would be from the bottom of the bottom of the arm, is that when you move your arm, the top half predominantly doesn't just rotates rather than moves out. So we feel that may be a trigger for match officials to be able to spot a little bit easier on that one. So is it perfect? Who knows? You know, we'll just have to wait and see when we do start. Okay, when changes are made in law, it's very easy when we all sit round the table, and bearing in mind members of IFAB have got collectively hundreds of years of football experience, many of them more than myself, especially at the higher level of the game, when you've got referees who have refereed World Cup finals, referees in, you know, finals in South America and all over the world. But we sit round and we think we make a change in law that we think will benefit everybody, and we think it's right for the game. And then when it's put into practice, things sort of start to happen, and we think maybe it's not quite right. It's a bit wordy, this, but one of the changes that was made in the 2019-2020 season was that a goal could not be scored directly from a hand or the arm, even if accidental. This came around from a Champions League final a few years ago, Barcelona against Juventus, when Neymar headed towards the goal, it brushed off his arm and it sent Buffon, the Juve goalkeeper, totally the wrong way. So we felt that even though it was accidental, it was unfair. So what happened, we said that if the ball touches an attacking playing arm or hand, goes to another attacker, and a goal scoring or a scoring opportunity occurs immediately, it's a handball offence. Okay. But we had examples last year where the law didn't allow the referee to allow the goal, and where goals that were chalked off where the IFAB board felt was incorrectly. So what we're saying now is that it's not an offence if after an accidental handball, the ball travels some distance, or there are several passes, or if there is a notable time delay between the handball, the goal, or the goal scoring opportunity. And the key word when applying this part of law is immediately. Now, as it happens, we've actually got a clip from a Welsh Premier League game that is included in IFAB's presentation on the law changes, which I will show you where to find later. The presentation by IFAB is about 75 pages, so this is 75 slides, so you can see why we haven't done the full presentation. But this is a game last year from the JD Cymru Premier, and it's Connors Key are the home team against Carnarvon. So we'll play the clip. Okay, you see there? There is a handball there by the Connors Key number 7. As we can see, there's several, we would say, phases of play. We see a replay as well. There's a handball there by the 7. 1 phase, 2 phases. The away team have a chance to clear, which they don't. Now, with last year's law, that goal shouldn't have been allowed to stand. Okay, but the referee in this game unfortunately missed a handball, so was actually penalised 0.1 of a mark in his assessment for that. But if you think about it, was it right that the goal should have been disallowed? I think the footballing public, the spectator, the players would expect that goal to stand. So the law has been tweaked slightly, that if we have incidents like this, that where it's not immediate, the goal is allowed to stand. And another law that was changed last year, where we had where we felt that a player was fouled in an attacking position. The team that the offended team wanted to take a quick free kick, whereas the referee quite rightly would not allow play to restart if he was going to administer a caution or a sending off. We felt that the team were being penalised twice. So what we done last year, where we changed the law, where we would allow quick free kicks to be taken, and referees, once the ball goes dead, referees could come back and caution or send off the play. Where we downgraded the Dogso situation, where someone made a genuine attempt for the ball, that was downgraded from a red to a yellow card, if like the goalkeeper was making a genuine attempt or a player was making a genuine attempt for the ball. So whereas in the past we would allow a quick free kick for stopping a promising attack, the law stated that the referee should go back and caution the player for stopping a promising attack. But in one part of the law, this was saying that we don't caution for stopping a promising attack. So we had to just refigure and reword the law. So in this situation here, okay, as you can see there, from last year, the referee was totally correct to go back and caution the player. Then we had the situation, I think you've seen this one before. This was the Italy v England game, but this is this incident happened before the law changed, but it's a good example where you'll see Sterling is fouled once or twice. We can say that's a promising attack. The ball then goes and the goal is scored. So what we are saying now, in both these cases, if it happens and you as a match official do not start the disciplinary procedure, i.e. you call the player to him, you've got the card out, you've got your book out, wherever you do it, you can not then allow play to restart, because it would be unfair on the defending team. You only allow play to restart if you haven't started the disciplinary procedure. Now, that also means, because the yellow card has been downgraded, and that's only for stopping a promising attack, if you, in your opinion, you think it's a reckless tackle, okay, then you allow play to continue. You have the quick restart, you allow play to continue, and then when the ball goes dead, you can go back and caution for a reckless tackle, okay. It's really important. I think when I spoke at Society a few months back, it's really important that when you do your misconduct, and a lot more will be done on comment, that you get the reasons right. It's really important when it goes to disciplinary matters that you put down the correct reason for the caution. This has given us problems in the JD Cymru Premier last year, where a referee told a manager that he was cautioning a player for delaying the restart, and the caution went in for persistently infringing the laws of the game. And it just caused a bit of problems between the coach of the club, the FAW, and the referee's manager and the referee concerned. But because we've downgraded the yellow card to no card, there is also the possibility then of, when it's a Dogso situation, to then downgrade to a yellow card. However, I would be very, very careful about playing on from that situation, okay? Because it's got to be that they're really just going to tap the ball into an empty net. So just be very, very careful. And it goes with anything about the whole item about playing advantage, is that, you know, to play an advantage off a yellow card is a great feeling. You know, when it's someone is side down, the ball's played out, or the player stays on his feet, they beat two players, the ball's put in the back of the net, and when you play an advantage like that, everybody comes and congratulates you as normal, which no one ever does. You know, what is really nice for you personally, and if you're lucky enough to have an observer and assessor at the ground or in the stand, that's a great feeling. But to play it off a red card, you know, especially for violent conduct or serious foul play, you run a great risk of the game escalating out of control. So I would urge against caution on that one. Okay. And also one of the things that we put into law, because it, although you could do it, we've actually put into law now that we've got to put in that when we have the drop ball now, which after watching many games last year, I was amazed that the amount of confusion that it still causes players, coaches and spectators about when you have a drop ball, that no drop balls are contested. You still get teams who still want to kick the ball back to the opposing team. Players still want to kick the ball out, and they still want to have a contested drop ball. As we know, players need to be a minimum of 4 metres. If a player does not respect the 4 metres, they should be cautioned. We would have done it last year, I'm sure we would have done, but actually in law, there wasn't anything in law to say that we could have cautioned the player. Okay, penalty kick, probably the one where you as a referee or an assistant referee decide to award a penalty kick can change the whole temperature of the game. You can have a game in the palm of your hand, you give a penalty, and the whole, you know, the whole is like throwing a hand grenade in the 6-yard area. But this is mainly around about the encroachment and players and goalkeepers offending. So what happened, we had an incident in a youth league, no, sorry, not in the youth league, in the Euro, I think under 17s or under 19 finals in the Republic of Ireland a couple of years ago, where a goalkeeper was cautioned in the first half for encroachment at a penalty kick, and in the penalty shootout encroached the game. And the referee, quite rightly in law, showed him a second yellow card in the penalty shootout. This lad was 18 years of age, and as you can imagine, was heartbroken. And we just felt that it wasn't right in the spirit of the game. Now, again, this idea of changing the laws has come out from also the involvement of VAR, because what we have now is where goalkeepers are encroaching off their line with VAR, is being picked up. Now, the argument back from goalkeepers, from coaches, from spectators, from journalists is, well, come on, Mr. IFAB or Mr. VAR, the goalkeeper is only just off his line. Now, the situation, or the difficult situation that we have and you have is what is just off his line? What is just offside? What is just handball? You know, so it's either one or the other. You know, there was a clamour for VAR to come in to say that, you know, offside is offside, and as you know, it's caused a few problems. But if you're just off your line, you're off the line. So what we've done to soften the law, and that's what we have done, is that when the goalkeeper does encroach, it will be a warning, okay? And then in the second, in subsequent encroachment for the goalkeeper off his line, that does mean a caution given. Now, also in law, if the keeper and the goalkeeper offend at the same time, i.e. the kicker comes up, goes to feign, and the keeper moves off his line, it was felt that the kicker is the one that will cause the goalkeeper to move off his line because of the feigning. Now, as I said there, if the kicker and the goalkeeper offend at the same time, a very rare event. I would say it never happens event. Okay, a very rare event is what in law. But if you think about it, you know, if you're refereeing on your own, or even with assistant referees, you know, if you award a penalty and the player scores, or there's a bit of encroachment, or the keeper saves it, normally someone will say, referee, the keeper was off his line. And if you turn around and say, I don't think he was, that will normally be the end of the argument, near on. If you start awarding penalty kicks for encroachment, or retakes rather, for encroachment and keepers moving off their line, you open up a can of worms. You know, you can say, are you sort of circumventing the law as a referee? But sometimes you're better off turning a little bit of a blind eye. You know, so it's important that when you're operating on your own, that you show some empathy towards the goalkeeper moving. If you're on your own, where do you position yourself, where you act as goal judge, keeper moving, and players encroaching in the penalty area? No, impossible. I refereed on the Welsh Prem for 15 years and never had one penalty retaken. And you don't see many penalties retaken without VAR now. So I would be, if you're operating on your own, be very mindful. And if you're lucky enough to referee with assistant referees, or you end up being an assistant referee in the game, be very mindful before buzzing, raising the flag to have a penalty retaken. If you've got the comms kit, if you're lucky enough to operate with a comms kit, you've got the advantage of communicating to the referee, and then it's up to the referee to make that call. Okay, but let's be very, very mindful of that. Okay. One of the things also that we saw an increase in penalty kicks being retaken was for the keeper moving off their line and the ball was not being saved by the goalkeeper, i.e. the ball was hitting the crossbar, the post, or was going 4 foot over the bar, or hitting the corner flag. Now, you could argue, does that really affect the keeper, the kicker? Obviously, if the keeper clearly moves and he's standing on the edge of the 6-yard box, then it's a good chance you'll have the penalty retaken. But if you look in this clip that I've got, this was from the Women's World Cup, Nigeria versus France. Now, on this case, where it was a poor penalty kick. Okay, the goalkeeper, yes, was off their line, but just off. Okay, but as it was the FIFA World Cup for the women, VAR was involved. Quite rightly, the referee went to the screen, although they didn't really need to go to the screen because they was off their line. The keeper was cautioned, the kick retaken, and France scored. Okay, changed totally the outcome of the game. If the goalkeeper had saved it, great, then the kick should be retaken. But in cases like this, and the kick basically is missed, we should just allow the game to restart, either play to continue, or, as in this case, a goal kick. Kicks from the penalty mark. Now, kicks from the penalty mark is actually outside the 17 laws of the game. Okay, so this is something that we have to be mindful of. Now, again, one of the things we had to change on there is that because they are not part of the match, what has been decided is that if there is a caution for players or team officials during the match, including extra time. So, for instance, you cautioned a player for a reckless tackle in the 50th minute of the game. In the penalty shootout, they go to take a penalty kick and they feign the kick. In the 90 minutes, the player then would be shown a second yellow card and play restarted with an indirect free kick. If it happens in a penalty shootout, the kick is declared null and void, so they lose. It goes down as a kick not scored. The player is still cautioned, but is not removed from the penalty shootout. Okay, so instead of the two cautions going as two separate cautions in case of disciplinary matters. Okay, and obviously in the footnote there, a player who's been sent off during the match, i.e. 90 minutes or extra time, is not permitted to take part in the penalty shootout. Highly unlikely to happen, but you could have a case of where, you know, there may be dissent from a player in the penalty shootout. There may be what you are seeing quite a lot of now is where goalkeepers are using a lot of delaying tactics. They're going up, the ball is placed on the penalty mark, the keeper goes up, picks the ball up, bounces it, put it back on the penalty mark, calls in a delay to the game, to the kick. You'd be quite within your right to show the yellow card, but if the goalkeeper had been cautioned during the game, then it only counts as one caution. However, if he does it twice in the penalty shootout, then it would be a red card. Okay, they're the main changes in law. Now, this IFAB, this page here is so important for you. There's everything is on this page. You can download it onto your phone. You know, it's a fantastic app, website. There's also Q&A section there, which happens. There's something put on nearly every day on Twitter, on Facebook, on other types of social media. There's everything on there. Now, where IFAB are very, very good, you can actually send them a message on Twitter, on Facebook, and they will reply. Okay, which I think is fantastic. You can send it to me, but what I do anyway now, I get lots of questions from people from all over the world, but we forward everything onto IFAB because sometimes the questions may even stump us, or it may mean that we may need to tweak the law a little bit. Okay, that is the main changes in all the law changes. I said it's nearly 80 slides of the presentation. All the wording you'll see where it's been changed. There's some small changes around what the goalkeeper can do in relation to handball. So the shape of the goalpost, the logos, and there's a lot of slides about VAR. What I would say about VAR, where it doesn't involve you yet, may do in time to come, I think it's always good to understand when we're watching games at a higher level. And I would always, wherever possible, you know, watch Scorio on a Monday night, watch Scorio for the live games, because that's where a lot, you know, that's our bread and butter. That's where a lot of you would want to aspire to. You know, and it's great to watch the referees and assistants at the top level in Wales, which is really good to watch. But it's always good to watch referees at a higher level. You can pick up tips, maybe not pick up tips, but it's always good to understand why a referee gives a decision, while they don't. And it's also quite amusing where the so-called pundits and the experts haven't got a clue. And I always think it's quite funny when we do that. So that is the presentation. I will stop sharing now.